Sergeant First Class Christopher Celiz was an Army Ranger, through and through.
Chris was beyond proud to be a Ranger. He loved his job, he loved his men. He was just beyond proud to be in the position that he could be.
Sergeant Celiz was a larger-than-life character. He was a role model for me, but I think for many other individuals within the Ranger community.
He was a family man. He was a lot of fun. He was a bit of a character at times, but he was a man who liked to keep busy. He liked exploring nature. I don't know, he was just Chris.
On July 12th, 2018, nearing the end of the fifth deployment, Sergeant Celiz was leading an operation in the Patika province of Afghanistan. Not a very friendly place, to clear the area of enemy forces.
We suppressed them, and it was probably 30 seconds later that the main element of the enemy opened up. And they were hitting us from two different areas, due east and southeast, and at this point in time, it was probably 5:15, so the sun was, coming above the horizon, and the sun was in our eyes, and the enemy used that to their favor, because as we're trying to look through the sun and see where they're shooting at us from, we are ineffectively able to engage the enemy with our, bigger weapon systems, our close air support, our mortars, because we can't get an accurate bead on the targets.
Attacked and pinned down by a large force, the sergeant exposed himself to the enemy fire in order to retrieve a heavy weapon system that allowed his team to fight back and reach the secure location. And during the firefight, a member of his team was critically wounded as they called for medical evacuation.
The bravery and the actions that Chris took during that moment, where he willingly and knowingly recognized to put his body in between the litter team and our medic and the flight crew as a body shield, and he knew that he was the only one to protect them with his fire from his M4. To see that, it's very humbling. Because in between, my burst of fire, I would look back and check on what Chris was doing. I witnessed him physically moving his body as the helicopter crew was moving, as our litter team was moving, and he was placing him and his body armor in between the enemy fire and them.
The helicopter began to take off, and he put himself directly between the cockpit and the enemy, ensuring the aircraft could depart and sustaining what would prove to be a mortal wound. He knew he was hit, but he waved for the air crew to depart without him.
He dropped to a knee and an arm, and he was looking up at the helicopter. I didn't know it at the time, but he had in fact made eye contact with one of the helicopter crew members, and I saw him take his arm. And the last thing he did before he fell prone on the ground was wave them off to signal, do not sit back down. It is too hot on this HLZ. Get out of here, I'll be fine.
I was very angry when I found out what happened, because I was, before he left, I always said, please promise me you won't be a hero. Just come home to us. That's what we need, that's what we want. And he's like, I can never promise what's gonna happen. He's like, whether he's at work or just driving down the road, it's like, you never know what's gonna happen. Just try to process it a little bit every day, and I am proud of him, and I'm grateful that, he was never hesitant to do what he felt was right. I love and respect, that he chose to do what he did.
Sergeant First Class Celiz's extraordinary heroism and selfless above and beyond the call of duty were in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, his unit, and the United States Army. Signed, Joseph R. Biden, the President of the United States.